welcome everybody. People are joining right now and we are going to start in the next minute or so. I'd like to just tee things up and introduce first the audience. We have Nerdwise team members, partners, clients. We also have a lot of other IT owners, operators, and marketing executives joining us. So welcome to everybody who's here. There will be an opportunity for questions. If you have some burning questions and things you want us to discuss, please chat them in. Jessica, our moderator, will see them. Michael Coop can call on you or speak on your behalf towards the end. And then because there's a pretty full room here, I think we'll get things started. I'm going to quickly introduce our speakers. We have Randall East, the President CEO of Tech Advisors, Charlie Altenbach, the President CEO of DP3 Tech, and Lauren Groff, CEO of Groff Networks. And then moderating today's discussion is Jessica Magoch, the President, Owner, Founder of JPM Sales Partners. So welcome everyone. Thank you. Special thanks to our speakers for being here. I'm going to hand it off to Jess to kick off the discussion and bring your questions. Let's do this.
All right. Thank you, Patrick. And thank you for having me and us. This is an awesome topic. Today, we are talking about we're having a digital marketing roundtable, especially for IT executives and IT salespeople. So if that's you, you're in the right place. All right. So while I have some questions kind of pre-planned. So we're going to ask our amazing panel their input on these questions. If you have any questions throughout, please drop them in the chat. Otherwise, keep yourself on mute because we have lots of people. Drop them in the chat. If it's relevant and I think it can help everybody, I'll incorporate it in our questions. Otherwise, we're going to have a Q&A at the end. We'll leave a good 15 minutes for Q&A so you can ask these amazing success stories about their marketing secrets to get more leads and close more deals. All right? You guys ready?
Hoorah.
All right. So, panelists, I'm going to throw out some questions, and as you feel inspired, please chime in and please share your insights. Please don't hold anything back. These people are here for some solid advice and actionable pieces that they can take away to get more deals. All right. Okay. So first we're going to focus on lead generation and marketing, and then we're going to segue into sales. So just to frame it, the way I define, marketing and lead generation is getting people to the point where they raise their hand and go, I have that problem and I'm looking to solve it. And then sales takes over. Then you have a lead, and sales takes over from turning a lead into dollars, right? Or pounds, wherever you are. Okay, so let's get into some marketing questions. Guys, what are your top 3 lead sources to generate prospects from right now?
I'll jump first. Number one is definitely the warm list that we've spent a very long time taking from a cold list to a warm list. Cold calls have fed into that, but now it's the warm list. So going back to that warm list and doing whatever we can with it, whether I pick up the phone, LinkedIn, email, to that list, that's definitely the top one. And then after that, it's everything, and we can talk more details about each of them, but we're doing the email campaigns with Nerdwise. We're doing some LinkedIn initiatives, direct targeted lead connections there, both in a more structured fashion and some more in just manual one connection deep decision maker in our market at a time.
Nice. So your warm list, your email marketing, and LinkedIn are your top 3.
Those are the top ones currently. I'll keep you apprised as we add more to the.
I'll add into that how, the next question will be, how have those changed from the past, especially with COVID kind of interrupting. So anybody else want to jump in on what your top 3 are right now? Are they the same? They different?
Yeah, I can jump in there. This is Randall. I think for us, referrals was always a huge thing for us, and that's still huge. And so getting our engineers to talk about other products and services we have, and also finding out referrals from the clients while they're working with them. We started Nerdwise about 6 months ago. That's been huge for us. And then the other top one is Google AdWords, putting those in and targeting those to specific areas for decision makers that we want. So those would be our top three.
Nice. So referrals, Nerdwise, i.e. email,
Yes.
and Google AdWords.
That's correct.
Nice. Okay. How about
Yeah,
you?
then
Charlie?
I could jump in. Yeah, I could jump in quickly. For me, I took an ad out in the newspaper and I've been relying on that. I'm just
Nice.
kidding. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, whoa, way to go old school.
Yeah, for us, it's been it's mostly been email marketing, and anything that's I've noticed just being proactive, either via email marketing, number one on LinkedIn, posting, connecting with people, talking with folks. I've also done some webinars that have helped with lead gen. Pick a topic that's relevant and kind of in the news or top of mind for your target audience, and get a webinar together. And similar to this, but for for potential customers, reach out to your list that you have. As Lauren mentioned, your warm list, get those people involved, get them on a webinar, and continue to follow up with them.
Nice. So live events.
Yep.
Like this. So I guess the common thread is Nerdwise. So I'll just do a little plug, Nerdwise. All right. So how have your investments changed over time in these pieces? If you look back 5 years, where were you spending your money on marketing?
We tried to do a lot of things. I mean, you joked about the newspaper ads, but we did some pretty stupid things and probably wasted some money. We did a billboard ad that didn't work at all. We tried some various newspaper type things, publications that didn't really work. Even tried a manufacturer's guide to a local business paper and gotten 0 leads out of that. So I think that's good for identifying your brand and kind of getting your brand out there, but for getting leads, not so much.
Nice. So that's actually another question we have about balancing brand awareness and lead generation. So since you mentioned it, how do you continue? How do you decide where to spend money on brand awareness, even if it's not generating direct leads for you?
For us, the brand awareness, what we focus on primarily is some of our nonprofits and our different clients that have events in the area, local events. And so we'll sponsor a lot of those and get usually top billing for very little money in those. And then we still do a little bit of advertising in newspapers and magazines and things like that, but it's very limited. And we try to find sales when they're getting ready to print it and they don't have enough people in there, and we'll get a discount off of it.
Nice. Nice. All right. Lauren, Charlie, how about how your ad spent, your marketing dollars spend changed over the last few years?
Yeah, I mean, when I originally started, I mean, there were some things that just weren't high, turnaround, but they were good value, and were still helping us get from cold to warm for some of the people we were meeting with, like a print newsletter. I still want to get back to that, but not monthly, maybe quarterly, because as much as the delays might happen in the Postal Service, it'll still get to most people's desks. and those mailboxes are empty. At least if there's quality content coming across, they'll actually look at it. At least, some of our potential clients, but haven't done that in quite a few years. Telemarketing. When I first joined one peer group about 10 years ago, I misunderstood, and I thought they were saying, go do telemarketing first. They were just saying, they were assuming we were doing everything else already, and said, okay, this is how you do telemarketing. So we were starting with the 10% or less, potential, but, it still helped grow our business greatly during the years that we really were pushing hard on that. So, but, 40% of our client base right now is from that. So it's not something that we're not going to go back to. It's just, we have a lot more lower hanging fruit to go after first.
Nice. Interesting. And how about brand awareness, balancing marketing with brand awareness?
I think it's like the question of is there such a thing as, work-life balance? It's like, no, you go from one extreme to another. We put a lot into brand awareness, but then try to make sure that it keeps going and then jump back to, lead generation and putting more effort into building it. But prospecting in the oil, terminology is one thing, but then once you get that oil well built, once you get the results, you want to keep that going, but it's not effort to keep it going anymore. It's habit at that point, and habit's a lot easier than building it from scratch and from new. So once we get them going, then it's easier to go on to the next thing and do new types of content or whatever. So.
Nice. All right, Charlie, you're up.
Yeah, so for us, I think initially, out of the gate, it was either me trying to handle, lead gen and marketing initiatives on my own, in addition to running the business and supporting my customers, which didn't work at all, had very little success. And then from there, I kind of jumped to, finding like a part-time person, off, just like a part-time person to help that, had, like marketing experience. And that also didn't help very much. And then ultimately, I learned that, partnering with specialists and experts was the way to go. So that's the route that I've gone down with email marketing and LinkedIn marketing, partnering with people who are doing that every day and are being consistent with it. That's where I've seen success.
Nice. And we have a request I think everyone can benefit from. Can you quickly say what you sell and to whom, like who your market is and what you sell? So as you answer, if they can find it relevant to their own businesses and how it relates.
Yeah,
Charlie.
for us, so yeah, we sell IT services, cybersecurity services, primarily to law firms. I have a legal technology background, so that's the market that we tend to focus on. Both here I'm in Chicago, so focusing on the Chicago market and partnering with Nerdwise, I've started to reach out to neighboring states and cities and expanding that reach a bit. But yeah, primarily IT services catered towards law firms.
Nice. Lauren?
Yeah, for us, we're in Troy, New York, and so we're right in the Capital District, about 2 hours north of New York City. And our target has, for the most part, been an hour radius from us, but we are taking it pretty much all upstate New York now. Haven't really done too much targeted outside. We've done some market research and dips, but what we are primarily focused on for my efforts to get something onto my desk as the salesperson from marketing or lead gen, it's got to be a MRR potential client. So monthly recurring revenue, a client that's looking to change IT vendors or their process, or they have a guy and they're ready for a team. That's what my focus is on. Once we have a client, then we sell other things through our internal resource process. We're not really doing a lot of marketing, lead gen, and the like for non-clients. Just we're looking for the clients.
Okay, so is your target then local, or do you have a specific industry that you cater to? Or
yeah, our top industries, our fastest growing one is construction right now, but our largest is nonprofits. A lot of nonprofits located in and around Albany, being the state capital, associations as well. But then, we got media marketing, manufacturing, and professional services, the lawyers and the accountants.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah, and I'll second that in regards to Lauren's comment about monthly recurring revenue. That's also what we're after and primarily are selling to and selling for.
Great. Okay, Randall.
Yeah, so we're located outside the Dayton, Ohio area, kind of in that triangle. So Columbus, Cincinnati, Dayton are our primary markets. Very similar. We focus on the monthly recurring. So we try to get people in at a very affordable price initially and get them in under the managed services plan. And then we have a lot of services that we are able to provide them after that: security, email, remote access, SD-WAN, whatever it is that they might need. And so that's kind of how our strategy has been, and it's worked really well for us.
Great. Well, there's a nugget for you. What I learned so far, go for the MRR and build up from there. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So what are the must-haves to ensure a regular flow of leads, right? Like if you don't have leads coming in there, you have an expiration date to your business, right? So that makes it sound scary. So what do you do to ensure a regular flow of leads? What are your favorite tools and resources to actually get this done?
I would say right foot. The right foot pushing down on the gas, like regardless of what it is, like you got to push for what's the next process. Is this process that we're doing right now bringing us the leads that we need to sustain? And we found a couple that, okay, we've got some pretty good early fruit from them, but they dove pretty quickly. I'm not giving up on them because they're going to have a very long tail, but the gas mentality, the accelerated mentality is, all right, what's next? This is already starting to wane a little bit. Let's go for the next.
And how often do you do that? How often do you shift your strategy?
Well, it's about the building, but still maintaining. So you do the prospecting in the oil, concept, get the oil well built, and then you move on to the next one. So as long as that initial prospecting is yielding results, you're starting to settle into routine. But if that routine is still high enough that you're able to do some things around it, then you stick with it. But if it tails quickly, then you move on to the next one. So I'm always looking at what's next. When should this falter below? Obviously, you got to keep tweaking it. You got to keep experimenting, A/B type stuff. But that's why Nerdwise is a good partner in that they help look at how is this email campaign going and what do we need to do next? How are we going to tweak it? All right, what are we going to do when, like, we brought the list because we've been working on it for 12 years. So we brought the list for the initial campaign, but what's after that? What's after that? So.
Nice. So the right foot is your best tool.
I think for us, in the early days, we started in 2014. So we've not been around all that long, but we've grown really quickly. And what we really relied on early on was getting the right people hired. And I know that's kind of seems like a separate topic, but it's really not, because you got to get your whole organization focused on getting new clients and getting new opportunities. And if you don't do that, you're missing out on a lot. And so that really drove our growth through the first few years. And now, as we've gotten a little bit more mature, we're using Nerdwise to go out there, and very similar. We had some of our own lists, but most of it was having Nerdwise go out and grab lists for us and grab new people to contact. And so that's been huge. But then, like we were just talking about, keeping your foot on the gas, it's working for us. We're maintaining that. And then we're continuing to tweak things like our Google ads, making those more effective, and just kind of tweak what we know works at this point.
Nice. Okay. Any other tools to add, Charlie?
Yeah, I think just as these guys both mentioned, very similar, just continuing to be consistent and proactive about continuing to fill the pipeline, and whether that's getting a new list from Nerdwise or circling back with the list that you have already, maybe attacking it with a different attacking it at a different angle, instead of pitching cost savings, maybe switch to remote work, given the COVID world that we live in today. So just continuing to tweak that strategy, switch things up, and just ultimately be very consistent and proactive.
Nice. So before we move on into sales, how you actually convert these into paying clients, what is the biggest lesson you learned that you wish you knew before you started your business regarding marketing and lead generation? Saved you the most headaches?
For me, it was I'm going to start my business and all the customers are going to come knocking on the door. Definitely not the case. I had it in my mind that I have this background in law firm technology, so all these lawyers are going to come and sign up for my services, and it just flat out didn't work out that way. So really just shifting my mindset and my focus, again, just being proactive and taking action and going out and knocking on the doors and making sure that people are aware of what you're doing, and continuing to put your name and your emails and all your other marketing in front of them consistently.
Like Rob said, the phone doesn't ring.
That's right. That's
They're
right.
not going to call you. All right. Randall, what was the thing that would have saved you the most headache?
I think it was not doing a shotgun approach. You can't just go out there and throw up a billboard, for instance, and they will come because they saw a billboard while they were driving to work. You've got to make sure you know who you're targeting, who in the industries that you serve make the decisions, and make sure that your marketing campaigns are targeted towards those people. If you don't do that, you're just wasting your money on people that really can't buy your services. So I wish I had known that earlier. I would have saved a lot of money.
So who's your niche now? When you opened your doors, you're like, I'll help everybody.
Well,
And then you realized,
yeah, the weird thing about that is we are in a lot of industries. So we have a bank, we are in city government, we're in medical, manufacturing. But the key is knowing who is the target person in each one of those industries that you want to go after. If you're going after medical, you're probably going to go after the office manager. They tend to make a lot of the decisions and bring those to the doctors. So just going down through your industries that you are targeting and making sure you know who are the decision makers in those industries.
gotcha.
And the size of the organization. Because technology can make a bigger difference depending on the size and complexity of the organization. So you got to know, if you're targeting just to sell IT support services, that's one thing. But if you're selling a strategic partnership that involves, CIO, Chief Information Officer type services, the smallest businesses can't leverage that right now.
Nice. So I'm gonna pose an objection as a the devil's advocate audience member. People don't read their emails anymore. So how are you relying on emails to get in front of prospects?
Well, if they're anything like me, they scan the subject lines and the first two sentences of the email. So if it's not interesting or relevant to where they're at, then yeah, they ignore it. But if it is relevant, then it's time to click and start opening up and replying back.
Nice.
I think for me as president of Tech Advisors, I don't have the time to look at every email, answer every phone call. So I will say this, Nerdwise got a hold of me. Patrick got a hold of me because of email, and I do ignore a lot of stuff that comes across my desk. I think the key is how that's worded and how it looks when it comes in, because if it comes in looking as something that, is an official document or something that comes in as a more personable approach, is completely different from just a mass marketing, because I'm going to immediately dismiss those and probably never look at them.
Yeah, I like to give the rule no more than 2 lines. If you look at it and it doesn't look like an email from a colleague, you delete it, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And colleagues don't write 4-paragraph emails trying to get you to respond.
No.
Charlie, how would you answer that?
Yeah, and I think these guys covered it very well. I guess I would just say that, the numbers don't lie in regards to the reports that I get from Nerdwise and the campaigns that we have going. The numbers don't lie, and I can say wholeheartedly that people do in fact still read emails.
All right. Okay, so let's segue into sales, and I will get to your CRM question, Ben. So sales now, we're talking about through these secret channels you have divulged to us where you're spending your time and money. When people do say, yeah, I'm interested in a conversation, right? Then we start the sales process, which is, taking them from that point of curious to client, right? So, let's talk about sales process. What are the keys for you that you found in your sales process that helps keep it organized and keep it strong? What do you do? Like, what are your best practices? And maybe what have you wished you learned sooner?
I could jump in really quick. I would just say that What I wish I would have learned sooner is that it's not about you and your service offering, no matter how good you think it is. It's really not about you or what your offer is. Initially when I first started my company and I felt like every sales meeting I would go in and I would hit a home run and I would lose the sale. And it wasn't until I fully realized that it's all about selling to their pain points, the customer's pain points. So now every opportunity I get, I have an initial phone call. I make sure to very clearly, pull out from them exactly what their pain points are and write those down and highlight them and bold them. And then I make a sales deck. And the most important piece of the sales deck is here are your pain points specifically, and this is how I'm going to solve those pain points. And once I switch to that mindset, since I've switched to that mindset, I'll say I feel like I'm like Michael Jordan. I can't miss a shot.
Love that. So another way of framing that is sales is just asking the customer what they want to buy and then selling it to them.
Yeah, exactly. And just like saying that exactly, like, hey, do I have this absolutely correct? Like, am I correct in saying that these are your problems, and just getting confirmation on that, and then very specifically speaking to that and how you're going to solve that problem.
Excellent.
I think Charlie's absolutely right on that. And one of the ways that we put that into our process is, let's say a lead comes in and it came in from Nerdwise, and we're going to go out there for the first time. I go out myself personally with the engineer. I spend time then talking to the client while the engineer is looking over everything, doing kind of a review of their systems. We don't charge them for this visit. We consider it pre-sales. And then I'm asking lots of questions. In fact, when I started sales, because I did sales for years before this, I had a trainer who said he had us practice a round of questions. So you would practice just asking questions with somebody. Every time they would answer your question, you'd answer with another question. And that's good, because you want to know as much information as you can from that client. And then we take all that information the engineer has put together and we tailor it so it looks for exactly what the customer's needs are, just like Charlie was saying. And that's what we focus on the presentation and sell them on our services at that point.
Great point. And what you both alluded to is a mistake that we see often in sales, which is feeling like you have to tell them everything.
Yeah. The more you talk, the worse you're going to be, and you're going to lose sales because of it.
They believe 100% of the things that they say and about 30% of what you say. So when
again, I was reading
telling
Patrick's awesome quote in the chat.
Oh, that's fine. No, the prospect or anyone, they believe 100% of what they say, but 30% of what you're saying across from them. So that's where asking questions to get the same point across as telling them. It's like, well, you should do this. It's like, well, how big of a deal is this to you? And so what? So what if that happens? Do you really think that, just throwing a little bit of, a different name, different logo at this is going to solve it? So the biggest thing for me, go along the lines of Charlie as well, is just the attitude. I had to have a lobotomy, I feel like 3 times. In my peer group, like, my belief was low about us. It was low about what we were doing new. And then it was still low about, how that was coming across and being delivered. And that was over like 8 years of dealing with my peers and then helping me. And then finally, it wasn't about me. Like once it wasn't about me or Groff Networks or whatever, then I reaffirm every time I'm walking into a sales conversation, it's like, I'm going to help you today. And if Groff Networks can help you after today, that's great. Yes is good and no is okay too. But my whole goal here is to give you something that you can take today. And so even as we're marketing to that conversation, it's like, you're going to get something valuable out of it. And they know that I'm there. I'm there to build relationship, and then I'm there to leave something of value. And even when we come down to a competitive situation, it's like, I'm going to give you some pieces that are going to help you decide, even if it's not in our favor.
Nice. So when the intention is helping the customer instead of helping yourself make the sale.
And it's worked a lot better.
You end up helping yourself. Nice. And Patrick says the first question gets you the answer. The second question gets you the gold. Nice. And I'll add the person.
What does the third question get you?
The
3
sale.
layers deep. Got to go 3 layers deep.
If you ask enough questions, you can get the customer to sell themselves. You just, instead of like you said, Lauren, instead of telling them what to do, figure out a way to pose it as a question so that they come up with the answer, and it's 100% the right way to go because they said it. What processes do you use to create your warm list? Okay, so those are all really great. I enjoyed that. So, and I love, Lauren, how, you confessed it took you like 8 years to even have the confidence and
slow learner.
the confidence that was coming through, and a peer network that was, that was actually willing to share that criticism with you, because your clients aren't going to tell you why you're not closing the deal, right? Like they might give you reasons like time, money, whatever, but they're not going to tell you like, I don't think you're that confident in what you're selling. So,
but when I got feedback once or twice that I came across as cocky or I forget, arrogant, I think it was one, like through a third party, and I was like, well, that's it. And they were surprised too, because well, that's not Lauren. And it's like, well, obviously I was trying to sell a used car. I wasn't trying
overcompensating,
to provide value or whatever.
All right. So we had a question about CRM. So as far as tools you use to manage your sales and marketing, like how much do you rely on your CRM? Does it, what do you use, and how, do you feel like it helps you close more deals?
Currently we use Autotask, but we're actually in the process of switching to Connectwise. And I think primarily the reason we're switching is because of the sales package in there and keeping track of things and being able to do that process a little more smoothly. Today, too much of what we do is a little bit manual, and keeping track of it as individuals, we want to do it more as a group. So, but it definitely is instrumental in keeping track of everything. Otherwise you forget who you talked to 6 months ago that said, give me a call back in 6 months.
Nice. So it helps you with the follow-up.
Absolutely. Follow up and just make sure it's moving through the process.
Cool. Charlie, what do you use?
We use Active Campaign currently. I think we're probably going to switch to HubSpot, but yeah, just right now it's just Active Campaign, and yeah, I think it's important. Obviously, as Randall mentioned, just keeping track and knowing where things are at, knowing where in one part of the process a particular prospect is in your sales process, and just helping to keep yourself organized.
Nice.
Yeah, I mean, we have plenty of opportunity. We're not doing as much management. It was more like go fast and clean it up later. So we're still haven't got to the cleanup part to really make things sing, because what we did was successful, but long term we need to get it settled. We've been using Infusionsoft. That's where the newsletter comes out of and reports back, and that's another small place for keeping the warm leads warm. And then that there's got to be a place, and we left. I mean, we used Autotask originally for a few years, but we pulled that database out of there, and putting it more in marketing automation is definitely the way to go. We probably use another one. We'll probably by the end of the year be in something different, but it's what we're using now, and we're using a whole bunch of other tools to send email out, with Nerdwise, and manage our link, some of our LinkedIn type stuff. But we want to bring that all together yet. So we have a ways to go to what I see and envision, but it's still a place to put everything and to keep track of the history of all the dials that we've done into a certain prospect and the different campaigns that we've sent out.
What do you measure in your sales and marketing process? What numbers do you track?
Yeah, for us, it's about decision maker attempts to reach a decision maker or to qualify. So that it's either dials or reach outs directly that aren't if it's a bucket of automation, we're not tracking that by persons, but then it's who raises their hand, what's the lead, and then, appointments, and then going from there, what are closes and how much MRR.
So conversions from outreach, lead to lead generated, appointment set, deal closed.
Yeah. So all those numbers you gotta look at on a weekly basis.
Cool. Any other numbers to add in there, Charlie or Randall? Pretty much the same or different?
Pretty much the same for us. There's some improvement that needs to be done there, and then that's primarily why we're switching over to ConnectWise, the controls in the funnel and being able to automate that process a little bit more. But essentially, it's the same process.
Good.
Yeah,
How
same.
important it was it? Go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, very similar.
How much do you rely on the numbers to make your decisions?
Well, that's where we get where we see the tail from. It's like, all right, our engagement on the marketing post is going down, so we got to tweak that. Or if the number of decision makers raising their hands is going down, it's like, okay, time to either tweak that or start the next one. So very much.
Nice. All right. Last question from me. Two more questions. One, how do you balance time between marketing to existing customers and going after new blood, so to speak?
I think I spoke to this a little bit. Our main outreach is for getting new clients. The internal process for selling projects or selling line items, recurring revenue or product or anything like that, that's all to existing clients, and we don't do a lot of this type of marketing for that. That's more of the process around the CIO, because they're helping the client get what they need, and that we can provide a whole bunch of solutions to that, but we're not going to do projects or cybersecurity one-offs for nonprofits.
Gotcha.
We probably spend as much time on internal clients as we do trying to find new external ones. And part of the way we've done that is just by adding on continually new product sets. So, we added on remote access this year, using some of the tools we already had, and okay, we can use this for clients. Let's make a product out of it. And just as an example, but we've added on a number of products just in the last year, and then we'll go back to the clients with a monthly newsletter that we do, as well as just talking to them and saying, hey, have you thought about doing this as well? The other key thing there I mentioned earlier is we've got our engineers looking for what else can we improve for the client while we're here, because they're already there. They know their clients really well. And so it makes a good opportunity for them to talk with the client a little bit and find out what they want to do as a business, and then relay that over to sales and get quotes and get proposals back out to the client. So I would say it's an even split.
Nice.
Yeah, for us, I think it kind of ebbs and flows, right? Depending on what's going on at the particular moment. If we've closed a couple deals, we may back off of the kind of offensive, reaching out, filling the pipeline just to get those people onboarded and making sure that our service levels don't drop. And then once, it's kind of like, as we are onboarding and kind of getting back to a normal level of service tickets and making sure that everything is all good with our current customers and our new customers. And then we'll go back on kind of the offensive and switch back to focusing on lead gen and outreach and email campaigns and all that good stuff.
Nice. All right. Well, we looked into the past. We looked into what you've done in the past that didn't work. We looked at what you're doing right now that's working. Let's look into the future. We're coming on the tail end of this pandemic, right? Cross fingers. Cross fingers. Where do you see your marketing efforts in the next 6 to 12 months going? And how would you advise everyone else on this call as far as where to spend their marketing dollars going into the next year?
The market is ripe for managed services. It's a great time, regardless of the pandemic. Like, just the maturity of small and medium businesses and organizations is there. The executives are seeing the value to bring it to the board table, to the executive decision making level, which means if you have a higher value service offering than your competitors around you, then put the right foot down.
Hit the accelerator. So are you saying hit the accelerator on what you're doing now? Would you use the same marketing tactics you're using now, only put more into them, or you think you'll change it?
More and better, like more types and more of what you're doing. Like we just tweaked up our AdWords, not something that's been really performing because we got to overhaul the website, which is, you know, kind of a Q3 initiative that we're lining up to get SEO going again. So it's, yeah, more of it all.
Nice.
You know, I think obviously Nerdwise is sponsoring this. However, we just let our agreement go back for another 6 months. You know, it's working. It's great. We've gotten a lot of leads for it. It's paid for itself. So I don't anticipate changing that in the least bit. That's been great. As far as our online presence, the Google AdWords, you know, what we found is a lot of tweaking is in store in that. It's just not throw out a Google ad and then they come. So we continue to refine that this year, and then also increase our online presence with Facebook and other LinkedIn and other areas as well. And then the other thing is we're really trying to get our engineers focused. I've got some that are just absolutely fantastic. They will go out and find a deal just doing a fix on a PC. And I've got others that they forget about it. And so we're really trying to, let's get that to 100% utilization with the engineers, because clients love it. They love their engineer. They want them to know when there is something that needs to be fixed, and it's a sales opportunity for us too.
Nice.
Yeah, I think, yeah, that, you know, much of the same for me. You know, as, you know, hopefully the pandemic tails off, you know, obviously the economy is going to tick up, and just having yourself well positioned to be out in front of as many people as you can, you know, generate as many leads as you can as the economy hopefully ticks up. Should be a buyer's market, and you know, partnering with a company like Nerdwise or similar, who is experts at doing these types of things. That's where I'm certainly going to focus my attention.
Nice. All right. Well, I'm going to turn this over to Michael because we've got a bunch of questions in the chat, and he's going to moderate those for us. But thank you for having me. I'm going to go ahead and put myself on mute now and listen in.
Thanks, Jessica.
Awesome. Excellent job, Jessica. Really, hats off to you. The first question I have is coming from Zach. So, to the panel, has the growth in work from home environments changed on how you are messaging or selling your services?
You know, it's changed the sales process a little bit. I've done a lot more of the sales process remote. But other than that, no, I wouldn't say that it has. I think everything that we've been doing prior, we're still doing. We've added on new services as part of the pandemic to like remote access, but that's it.
Yeah, I'll agree with that. Absolutely. Yeah, pretty much all my sales meetings now are Zoom or Teams or something to that effect, as opposed to in person. But otherwise, status quo, I'd say.
Yeah, I don't think it was like 5 out of the last 7 deals. I've yet to meet them in person. You know, we were able to do it all, you know, virtually.
Cool. Awesome, guys. Well, the next question I have is coming from Mark. So, to the panel, the biggest change in your marketing approach, sales generation, since the pandemic, do you have any learnings going forward, and, you know, what will stay this way?
For me, it was, you know, it was a sense of urgency, honestly. You know, we lost some customers as a result of the pandemic. So knowing that, I knew that I needed to be, you know, extremely proactive about, you know, filling that gap in revenue, and so really being aggressive and kind of turning things up, if anything else.
I'm with Charlie on that. I think fear is a great motivator. And if you're afraid you're going to go out of business or you're going to lose employees, that spurs you on to work harder.
Yeah, I mean, I think just knowing what the opportunity is and also has to do with where we're at with maturity. It's just the iron's hot right now, so we want to go after it.
Yeah, it's amazing what, fear and stress and pressure will do to you when the rubber hits the pavement. You got to step outside your comfort zone and try something new and different. So you find out a lot about what you can do. So let's see here. The next question I have is from Patrick. Are there any tools, tactics, strategies you are curious about trying, experimenting with next, and anything you see other companies doing right now that you really admire?
I really want to get to the webinars. We've hosted, I'm involved in 2 different networking type things just because I love networking. But I want to get to the level of something like this, hosting our own webinars, either with those in my peer group, where we're solving some big things in cybersecurity as a panel together, or just, in the general, my local marketplace, maybe as business leadership type stuff. But again, more of that content. We have a lot of content that we're putting out in blogs and LinkedIn, but to be able to get it out also like in video and live kind of format, and then that can be paired off and replayed later as well.
Something that we were doing pre-pandemic that I'd really like to do again is getting out there and doing sessions on cybersecurity or other topics that are of interest. And what we were able to do prior to the pandemic was get local groups like a manufacturers group and different places to invite us in to do those. Chamber of Commerce has invited us in to do those presentations, and we got customers off of those. And then when the pandemic hit, it's been really hard to get people to come to a lot of those types of events. And so they've dried up just a little bit, but I really would like to get back into that this year. I think that was a huge driver for business, and I think it's helpful for people, and that's why they attend them.
Oh yeah, then for me, I think using video a bit more, either delivering a video message via email, or just recording myself, on my iPhone about a particular topic, posting that to LinkedIn. And then also one that I've heard that's been very successful is even with your own customers, kind of developing a peer group of your own customers, and having webinars with them, and helping to solve problems kind of collectively, and talking about different things, and that potentially can open up upselling opportunities.
I can see doing that with a center of influence or a joint venture as well, where you have the same targeted clients doing it, like with a CFO outsourced or something like that.
For sure.
Good idea.
Yeah.
Great. All excellent answers. The next one on deck is coming from Ben. Have any of you had success building or converting audiences with paid marketing on LinkedIn specifically?
Haven't done
I
any
think paid. No, knock on wood.
Yeah, I've had some success with that. Basically, it was kind of similar to cold outreach with email, except it was a program that did that via LinkedIn, connected you and sent a series of messages, and did get some leads as well as some customers. And actually, one of my a deal that I just closed started with that, and then via a follow-up partnering with Nerdwise, I was able to just close a deal, a big deal for us, that actually started with that kind of LinkedIn automation marketing, and then a couple of years later, happened to follow up with them via Nerdwise email campaign, and we just actually closed that deal. Just started working with them beginning of March.
Yeah, now we did do LinkedIn automation. We did pay money, but we didn't pay LinkedIn for that.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, we did.
Like ads. Like, okay, yeah.
Yeah, we didn't pay. Yeah, LinkedIn. I'm sorry, but it was similar to that.
Okay. All right. Thank
But
you.
I'd be curious because with the email list that we have, I understand Facebook. I mean, there's decision makers of ours are still on Facebook. We could literally target our exact list and only send Facebook ads to them. So that's something kind of on the wish list to potentially investigate some more.
Yeah, there's no question that Facebook has more of a developed marketing platform. And to your point, Lauren, you can upload that custom database and specifically get in front of that targeted audience, which is really awesome. And then retargeting is also very powerful through Facebook and their audience network too. So, all right. Well, on to the next question. This one's coming from Bria. And I know it's pointed to Lauren, but we're going to address this to the whole group. How do you set up your warm list? And did you mainly use cold calling? And then to everyone as well, would you say it's a type of marketing that you would avoid? Or what would say is a type of marketing that you would avoid? But maybe let's just start with the first one, which is how do you set up your warm database and your warm email lists?
Well, like your warm 250, for example, I mean, that's your relationships. Like those are the relationships you establish. So you start with your clients, referrals, joint venture, COIs, like who do you know, who can you introduce me to? And then once you know somebody that's a target, but they didn't make any decision or they have no pain, but you still stay in touch with them and you know that they're a prospect because of, the type of industry, the size, and who they are. One of our biggest funnels to get that in the early days was just picking up the phone and doing cold calling. But I love networking as well, shaking hands out and about, going to the chamber events. And then eventually, as you go to enough events, you find out, well, if it's called a networking event, my target prospect isn't going to be there. So I actually have to go to the bigger fundraisers and show up at the country club or those sorts of things, wherever they are, as far as that goes. And then, establish a relationship, then keep them established. That is what keeps them warm. So I do everything around that to keep them warm, including picking up the phone myself to call. Creating it is all about everything. You get someone to raise their hand, but they didn't decide for you. Well, they're a warm prospect now. As long as they're still in your target list, and you just keep them in front of you. And so it's about doing activities, but then retaining that and the knowledge and tagging it. That's one of the biggest things for CRM. It's like, what's my list of qualified people that have raised their hands in the past, but have not decided, but are still a good potential for us. Maybe they're just one more IT company closer to deciding for our services. So that's a little bit about the warm list for us.
Awesome. Charlie, do you have anything that you might want to add to that question?
I actually just wrote down everything that Lauren said, so I'm going to study that. And then in addition to that, for us, I mean, it's just as simple as purchasing email lists, through Nerdwise, targeting those lists, and then as we go through the campaigns, those lists get updated with engagement scores and who's opened it, who's clicked it, and from there, kind of funneling down and targeting the people who are engaging with your campaign and working through that list.
Awesome. And Randall, anything that you might want to add?
No, I think Lauren covered it pretty well. I think, the only cold calling per se that we really do is through Nerdwise, reaching out to people we haven't reached out to before. Everything else is more on the warm side, I would say, unless it came from marketing leads.
Okay, great. All right. We've got a couple more questions. I think we got a couple more minutes, so I'll go ahead and get to asking that. This one's coming from Tony. So to the panel, what tactics are you using to retain your clients and your customers?
For us, it's customer service. We take really good care of our customers. We've got a survey that goes out every time a ticket comes out. It's very simple. There's a 4-part scale, and they can choose gold, which is what we're trying to shoot for every single time, or they can choose another color if they're not happy. And if they're not happy, they get a call from me, and I find out why they're not happy and how we can do better the next time. Thankfully, that doesn't happen a lot, but it does happen occasionally, and sometimes we do mess up.
So sometimes just asking questions, are you happy with the service, and giving them maybe some type of, like, I don't want to say NPS, but some type of just question to respond to, like you're giving them 2 or 3 questions maybe, or you're setting a standard.
Yeah, stay in constant contact with them and know your clients. And, that gets harder as you get bigger, but make sure you've got people that are touching base with them if you can't do it yourself.
Okay, great. Charlie, anything that you might want to add?
Yeah, I would say just the most importantly is just staying in contact with them, picking up the phone, having a conversation with your main point of contact at the client, having a conversation, checking in, hey, everything going well, anything I could do for you, anything outstanding. And then, ultimately it just boils down to the customer service itself, and just being as good at that as you possibly can, being responsive, being quick to answer inquiries, and yeah, ultimately customer service and staying in front of them, making sure that they know that you care and you're keeping in touch.
Awesome.
Our clients stay with us because I trick them into a really long contract that they can't get out of. Just kidding.
That's always the other option, right?
No, but I mean, our process has account management on the person who's giving the highest value to them, but there's junior account management for the proactive role as well, because they're in front of them the most, trying to get the most proactive work done and analysis. But then any reactive tickets that come in, we also have surveys that go out. So it's really a three-pronged approach. Besides me trying to take out the owners, to see how things are going and ask if there's anyone else that I should be talking to.
Well, everyone, thank you for joining. Thank you for the awesome participation, the great questions. Randall, Charlie, Lauren, Jessica, thank you guys so much for an awesome conversation. I know there were lots of takeaways, and everyone knows how to get a hold of you. The internet's good for that. But thank you so much for doing this, for your time and contributions, and all the Nerdwise shout outs. It was awesome. I've cried a few times. So thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
All right, have a good day, guys.
Appreciate it.